because in desert, all you do, white flag, 1 lap to go, is bump and jounce and leap 40 and 50 feet in the air. It's like watching an old Chitwood stunt show. At the same time, trying to run a race. And here he is, doing so beautifully all day, staying in the hunt. And now he is about to taste victory for the first time in his career. And this great racing crowd, he's slowing a little. He is slowing. Fuel problem too. Mears is slowing. He's up in turn number 3. Here is Johnny Rutherford, the second place car coming around.
Is that right?
Here is Mears in turn 3 and 4. He's trying to bring that car down. He's on the inside of the track. He is down on the inside. He's trying to bring it through. Here comes the Rutherford car. Mears trying. You can see him shake the car, trying to get more fuel to it. He's coming to the line. He's running out of time. Checkered flag is up. Mears wins it. Rutherford finishes in second. A.J. Foyt, and that Gilmore car, he goes and wants to race them. That's just what we see here now as we're moving into the final part of the last lap for Rick Mears, the desert racer who looks so great, jumping through the desert in Arizona, New Mexico, Southern California, is flowing like silk here in the last moments of this race. He looks like he's on his way to a road race victory at Brands Hatch, England. Checkered flags are about to fly. 26-year-old Rick Mears has won his 3rd USAC championship car race. Mears, the winner. Tom Sneva will get credit for 2nd place in the 2nd Penske car. Rutherford 3rd. A.J. Foyt 4th.
It's all over. Make it. Yeah. But so, you know, to think of this man, to think that Rick Mears said that he sort of lacked confidence and he was shy and so forth seems so strange and contradictory to a man who controls the pace of a racing car. All that power and energy below with such positiveness. It is a contradiction, as is so often the case with racing drivers.
No question about that. The center of attention of 350,000 people, but he doesn't like parties. As he said earlier, it looks more and more like he's going to have a 10-1 tonight.
2 laps to go. You know, very tiring, Jim. A racing driver can get very tired. The G-forces in his head, he has help to assist that, but still, after 500 miles, there's a lot of fatigue, particularly mental.
That's Mike Mosley just behind him. Mike Mosley, who's running 5th in the race at the moment. Not a threat at all to him, just running behind the leader there as it happens at this point.
Well, Rick Mears has to be counting the miles now until he gets to the end of this race. He knows that AJ's on the same lap. He knows that he can't make an error. He's got to stay out of trouble. But he must be praying now. He must be imagining all the nasty things that could happen and think of the thousands of things that can happen, even though the white flag has been shown by Pat Vidan. There's thousands of moving parts in there. Any one of them, oh, nickels and dimes would buy them that could let him down.
Unofficially, we've had our even statistician, Jay Milligan, checking through the record books. It looks like he would be the 2nd youngest winner ever of the Indianapolis 500, the youngest having been Troy Rutten. And next, Mike Mosley, well, he's having fun unlapping himself there.
Well, he didn't go very deep there. Rick Mears backed right off and let him through there because obviously Rick couldn't risk coming in contact with him or getting out of line because mental concentration could get the better of him at this time.
Incidentally, AJ's going much, much slower, dropping way back at this point. Looks like he doesn't follow. Here comes the checkered flag awaiting young Rick Mears at age 27. He has won the Indianapolis 500 for 1979. There is Roger Penske, the man who owned the crew, and the rest of the guys of the Penske operation. The celebration has already begun. There is Rick. It's unofficial. It will stay unofficial until tomorrow morning.
Race for about 30 days.
What a story. His first race from those injuries, and Rick Mears is a half a lap from victory. Here he is setting up for turn number 3. He's got a couple of cars to go around. Spike Gelhausen is to the outside, and now Mears backs off the throttle just a little as he comes around turn number 4 and takes the checkered flag. Rick Mears has won the Craco Atlanta 125. Johnny Rutherford will wind up in 2nd position. Unofficially, 3rd would be Mario Andretti, 4th would be Gordon Johncock, and 5th, Pancho Carter. Rick Mears.
come into the third turn. Mears takes the low groove. Andretti uses the identical line as they come through. So both cars handling it approximately the same way. The white flag is out. There is one more lap to go. If Andretti's going to do it, now is the time. There is slower traffic in front of them. Mears drinks his way through. Larry Dixon directly in front of Mears. Andretti closing up. Now Mears has to contend with Larry Dixon and Jim Buick. Andretti trying on the inside. Mears chops him off in the third turn as Andretti has to drop back, hits the brakes hard. Andretti in second place cannot get around Jim Buick, and Rick Mears sails on to the checkered flag as Rick Mears has won this second 125-mile race of the day. Johnny Rutherford finishes in third place, and a very, very happy crew. For the second time in the day, Rick Mears' team has won a championship race.
Lack of experience and preparation. Gordy's done pretty well. He's won a lot of races on road courses.
And the white flag has been displayed, not because there is an emergency vehicle on the racetrack, but because there is one more lap to go, and Rick Mears is on his final lap now. And he appears well on his way to victory. Gordon Johncock sneaking up right behind him. Don't forget that he is a lap down to the leader, Rick Mears. Johncock, though, is still challenging Rick Mears out there, even though it's the final lap. And look at Johncock to the inside. And I don't know, it appears that he came very close to forcing Rick Mears off the racetrack there.
Sure that he did. What he is hoping for, of course, is that there's a scoring error and that he is on the same lap and perhaps now in the lead. I think he'll realize after the race is over that that is not the case. But in a situation like this, you don't want to gamble. If you can get that position, you better do it. And I'm surprised that Mears is not going a little bit harder to ensure his victory.
Rick Mears on his final lap of competition. Here he is entering turn number 8. A long straightaway, a sweeping right-hand turn, and then the start-finish line and the checkered flag for Rick Mears, who has led this race for several laps now. Again, he took over the lead from Al Unser on lap number 45. Johncock continues to lead Rick Mears, but Johncock running in second position, moving through turn number 9. Here is the leader through turn number 9, and Rick Mears now just a few feet away from the checkered flag and victory in the California 500. And there it is, the checkered flags are displayed, the twin checkered flags, and Rick Mears has won the California 500 at Riverside. A very long race that has taken over 3 hours to run, hampered by several yellow flag situations, including 2 very serious accidents. No driver injuries, though, and Gordon Johncock in car number 20 will be shown as the second place finisher. Bill Alsop unofficially 3rd, Mike Chandler unofficially 4th, and 5th position belongs to Bob Lazier in car number 35. So Rick Mears now slows the car and waves to the fans gathered here at Riverside International Raceway, and Rick Mears chalks up another win in Indianapolis type car competition. Through turn number 6, going a little more slowly than he has in the past 3 hours. Now moves down the hill and will be negotiating turn number 7. As you can see, Mears moved by a car there that had earlier dropped out of the race. Kevin Cogan's car up against the retaining wall off of the racetrack. And Rick Mears celebrating the victory here in his Gould Charge number 6 Penske prepared car. Rick Mears moving into turn number 8 now, where we have seen a lot of passing this afternoon, especially by Gordon Johncock. Johncock seemed to like this particular turn to pass in, although it's a very tight turn that actually involves 2 or 3 turns. But Johncock...
Kevin Cogan. Cogan's best finish in IndyCars was at the Milwaukee 150 last year, where he finished in second place. Now the white flag flies. Rick Mears has 2.5 miles to go to his first victory at the Pocono 500.
There's absolutely no way that Kevin Cogan can catch him now. Rick Mears has had the horsepower all day. He's had the handling. Unless he broke down in the last mile and a half, he's got this race all sewed up.
And there's Bobby Rahal. He is solidly in third place. Here's the leader, the Gould Charge, car number 1, Rick Mears, as he continues under power through the second turn. Now one short straightaway, then a turn, and then the checkered flag for Rick Mears. The car runs smoothly. He brings it into that sweeping radius turn, and now he can see the checkered flag. He's on the main stretch. Rick Mears comes across the line to the cheers of his crew and of the crowd as Rick Mears wins the Pocono 500. Kevin Cogan comes across in second place. The two Penske cars, 1 and 2 at Pocono. Here comes Bobby Rahal across the line in third. A tremendous...
We are back live in Victory Lane. The Mears gang all smiles, and the first thing your wife said was, that won't hurt the point situation.
No, that'll be a big plus for the point situation. I don't know how it'll set us, what kind of lead it'll give us, but it'll definitely help us and maybe make the rest of the year run a little smoother, hopefully.
You started on the second row. Your teammate took the lead early after Andretti had some mechanical woes and set the pace until mechanical woes beset him. What was the strategy, if you can share that with us, going in? Were you content to settle back and watch somebody else lead?
Yeah, I was. We went pretty much to plan just like we did last year, same thing, and we sat back 4th, 5th, 6th place last year. I know this is a hard, grueling race, 500 kilometers on this Riverside course and the warm weather like we have. So we just went out with basically the same plan as we had last year. Get to the end, set back, try to keep everything running smooth, save the gearbox, save the motor, save everything, and save myself, and and get to the end of the race. And that's basically what we did, and the guys just did a tremendous job on putting the car together. Nothing came off all day long.
You are indeed a team person, and that's the first thing you said when you came in. Hey guys, great ride.
That's exactly it. I got to congratulate my team of the Gould Charge. They just those guys are outstanding. They're the best team in the bunch, and I don't know how to thank them enough. They just do a tremendous job.
It's time now to go celebrate. Here's your wife, Dina, Victory Lane celebration with Rick Mears.
And the victory for Rick Mears was 1 minute 6 and 7. He's on his final go-round of this 2-mile racetrack. We'll watch him negotiate the turns in the back stretch here on the final lap. There are a few cars ahead of him, a little bit of traffic to contend with, but that should give him no particular problem as he moves out of turn number 2 down the back stretch to the inside of the slower cars.
He's got to be thinking about last week when he saw Teo in his Mears and had a problem driving into another mirror, if you will. This was Roger Mears. Yeah, he might be thinking about him and his brother for the last lap last week.
And here he comes off of turn number 4. The checkered flag displayed to Rick Mears from Bakersfield, California, the winner of the Detroit News Grand Prix here at Michigan International Speedway. Rick already with that hand up in the air, saluting the crowd as he goes by. Second place, 11 seconds behind Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio. Finishing third a lap down will be Teo Bobby and then Mario Andretti. So the Penske crew finally comes through with a victory.
Gordy, have you ever had a drought like that went 10, 15 races? That must be like winning your first IndyCar race when you cut one of those off.
Well, definitely. I've had them that long and longer, and I guess Al Unser, for what, 3 or 4 years here, not very long ago, until he got on the Penske team, went through the same thing. And it gets pretty disappointing, but you got to stay out there and keep plugging away, because if you give up, then your team gives up, and there's just no use. So every race you got to...
1 lap to go. 1 lap to go to win his second Indianapolis 500. At the age of 32, he won in 1979. 5 years later, he is on his way to victory again.
Boy, would he like to win this one, because there were many that said the first...
There's his mother.
There's his mother, Rick's mother. Many of them said that the first one he won here was a little bit of a fluke. He was still so new to the game. This one's no fluke at all.
No question about that. And then, of course, he almost won another in that breathtaking finish with Gordon Johncock, where he lost by 16 1/100ths of a second.
Very little of this race to go, Jim, and I think it's going to come in just before it rains.
The crowd waving to him, the applause growing, the checkered flag for Rick Mears. He's won the Indianapolis 500 with a hand in the air.
Yep, hand in the air.
There's his mother. And Al Unser, who we believe to be finishing second in the race. There's been some confusing on the scoring system at the racetrack here about that. We believe Al Unser is second, but they're still with that hand in the air.
And Rick Mears has a comfortable lead. Rick Mears looks like he may be making the most of one of his
left to go. He'll now approach the long pond straightaway down the B, almost the backstretch, 3/5 of a mile in length. It's pretty long, but it sets you up for the most precarious corner in this racetrack. He moves to the inside of Emerson Fittipaldi. Rick Mears over the tunnel corner. Now down to the North Straight, 1/3 of a mile, 1,780 feet. Now he approaches turn number 3. It's not a negative camber corner, but sometimes it seems like it because it's so long, agonizingly long. Rick Mears comes out of turn number 3, looks up, and looks like he's going to win a 500-mile race in the checkered flag. Is for Rick Mears. Al Unser Jr. will net second position. Al Unser Sr. is third, and Bobby Rahal, after a very late pit stop for a tire that has gone down, is relegated to a disappointing 4th position. But considering the year that Bobby Rahal has had, Gordy, that has got to be a victory almost.
Well, yes, I'm sure he's happy just to finish the race, but if they punctured a tire there at the last end, that shows you some of his bad luck that's been going with him all year. But to be able to finish the 500 miles and 200 laps, he's done a great job today.
Rick Mears and Al Unser Jr. pulling alongside of each other and exchanging congratulations, the camaraderie that goes along with big-time Indianapolis car racing in the decades of the 80s. Rick Mears will join recent winners Danny Sullivan, Teo Fabi, and himself, who back in 1982 picked up the checker after the Pocono 500. A.J. Foyt was the winner in 81, Bobby Unser in 80, Foyt again in 79. Al Unser was the victor here in 1978, and Sneva was the 77 winner. Well, checking the time on that, we may be close to a new race record speed. They were approaching Johnny Rutherford's 1974 track record of...
Get the job done here with 198 laps now complete. Just 5 miles to go for Rick Mears. Is there 5 miles worth of fuel in that car?
I'm not sure. You know, we know Brabham went this kind of distance early in the race under a green situation, but I'm not sure about Rick.
Well, Chris Mears wishes as hard as she can and just hopes that there is. Rick Mears is obviously being very careful with that throttle now. He had some very fast laps to get himself into the lead, and he burned up a lot of fuel then, so now I imagine he's on a total economy run.
Well, he is right now, but like you say, he had to use it up early to get through the pack because of the way they strategized that last pit stop.
Rick Mears, 1 lap to go. A simple 2.5 miles. Is there enough fuel? Jeff Brabham runs in second place. Can he catch Mears in this lap? It's not likely if Mears stays on the power. But can Mears finish the lap? It's a tremendous gamble for the Penske team. They've decided to go the whole distance. There's no stopping now for Rick Mears, and there will be no other laps. This is the final lap. Car number 8, the Pennzoil. It is a March. It is powered by Chevrolet. This would mean the first win for Chevrolet at 500 miles. Can they get it done? There is still a question. Look at Chris. She praised this car around. If she could pick it up and carry it, she would. It's the final turn for Rick Mears. There are 2 checkered flags, and there they are. Rick Mears comes across the line, slows down as he does it. I think he ran out of fuel as he came to the line. Rick Mears, he's done it. A 2-year dry spell is over. And we watch for second place. Here is Jeff Brabham as he comes off the last corner. And for the 5th time in his IndyCar career, Jeff Brabham finishes in second. And Roger Penske says, whoa, we did it. Roberto Guerrero finishes now in 3rd place. What a tremendous win, though, for Rick Mears. Bobby Rahal will maintain the points lead with 129 points. Michael Andretti has 115, and Rick Mears has won it. We'll be back to talk to him right after this.
Penske cars would lead 192 of the 200 laps. Just past halfway, Danny Sullivan had scored 91 laps in the lead when suddenly his car veered to the outside and Sullivan's day was over. Now, it was teammate Rick Mears' turn to lead the race. But with 7 miles to go, fiberglass flew off of Michael Andretti's car. The caution flag flew, and Mears was assured of his 3rd Indianapolis win. A 50th for the Penske team, and their record 7th Indianapolis win. In this season, there have been 3 different winners in 3 different types of cars. Today,
certainly does. And so many times there's a white flag, 1 lap to go. So naturally they worry about it because so often a driver loses at the very last. He runs over something, somebody bumps him, or whatever. Now Chris is worried about it. Roger's worried about it. Of course, Rick is too.
So Rick Mears, perhaps he is about to join that list of drivers that have won both Indianapolis and Milwaukee. The checkered flag comes out, the twin checkered flag, and Rick Mears has won back-to-back races. First the Indianapolis 500, and now the Milwaukee 200, his 23rd IndyCar victory.
Yeah, the last time anybody did that Indy and Milwaukee back-to-back was Tom Sneva back in 1983, and it happens very rarely, only 6 times in the 40-year history of these 2 races.
And Danny Sullivan finishes in 2nd place. Rick Mears coasts now. Another come-from-behind victory for Rick Mears. 3rd place unofficially, Emerson Fittipaldi. Raul Boisel finishes in 4th, and A.J. Foyt finishes in 5th. We'll be back right after this. The racing world was saying just might happen.
And we don't have an indication from the way Rick's been going that he has any fuel problems, so I think we'll be able to see him get to the end with no problem, Paul.
The fight will be for 2nd place as they come to the line. The white flag out for Rick Mears, as now he can almost coast to a finish in this race. But concentration will be on this fight. Al Unser Jr. being closed by Danny Sullivan. Danny Sullivan in that gold and white car, the right side of the screen. Sullivan closes in. Rick Mears comes off of the 4th turn, sees the checkered flag just ahead, and Rick Mears has won the Auto Works 200. And Danny Sullivan is right behind Al Unser Jr. as they come to the line. So Rick Mears, the Penske team, has won the race. The Pennzoil car triumphs. We'll be back with more from Phoenix and a conversation with our winner, Rick Mears, who has won at Phoenix.
Line now, sensing the possibility of victory with just 2 miles to go. In 2nd place is Michael Andretti. Can he catch Rick Mears? It does not seem likely. Rick Mears on the backstretch now. His wife, Chris Mears, on the scoring stand. As he comes around, she will tap out 199 laps. And Nick Finaro shows the white flag, indicating 1 more lap to go to Rick Mears. Michael Andretti runs in 2nd place. Teo Fabi, if he can maintain his position, will see the best finish of his career in the Porsche car as they continue to move forward. Rick Mears working his way around now. Back to the home stretch again. Twin checkered flags in the hands of the starter, and Rick Mears has won the Miller High Life 200. Rick Mears wins here in Milwaukee, and he does so at record speed, nearly 6 miles an hour faster than Mario Andretti's record set in 1985.
Remember, that average speed is only predicated on how many yellow flags. The cars today have been awesomely fast. Fastest race we've ever seen here in Milwaukee, and certainly one of the most exciting.
There you see Rick's dad on the right hugging Chris. It's a family affair, racing with the Mears.
Well, it's win number 25 for Rick Mears. It ties him with Gordon Johncock for 7th place on the all-time victory list. We'll be back to talk with him right after.
But you can see the number 5 car, that handling machine of Mario Andretti, is closing in. A right turn ahead, and then a left. And then they climb the bank. That burns up this methanol fuel as they climb to the top of the hill. Andretti trying to close in, trying for the best finish of this season. And there he is, right behind Rick Mears. Can he get the entire lap going? Let's listen, see how those engines are sounding. Mario down through the corkscrew, picking up every bit of momentum that he can as he comes down the hill. Kevin Kogan lies just in front of Rick Mears as Mears comes toward the final turn now. Down the hill, making that final left-hander. Rick Mears on the pit straight now. Kogan ahead, no factor in this finish as Rick Mears looks for the checkered flag, and he's done it. Rick Mears has won the Champion Spark Plug 300 and scored a road race victory. I think Roger's happy as that with almost anything else. Jim Williams is there, Jerry Brehan, the members of the crew, boy, they are. And
And the white flag flies. A mere mile to go for Rick Mears now. Will he score another win? He won here in 1982 and last year on the backstretch. Unchallenged. Very little lies between Mears and the checkered flag now. The Pennzoil car works its way off of the fourth turn. Nick Penoyle, the starter, has twin checkered flags, and Rick Mears has scored the first win of the 90s. Now the fight for second place as it comes to the line, and Bobby Rahal holds off the charge of Al Unser Jr. So Rahal finishes in second. Al Unser Jr. about 3 seconds back in third place. There's little Al. You're on board as he slows down at the conclusion of the race. Margin of victory for Rick Mears, 7.26 seconds. An incredible run for Rick, but at 126 miles an hour, he does not approach Roberto Guerrero's track record. We'll be back to talk with the winner of the AutoWorks 200, Rick Mears, right after this. Flag has been thrown to Rick Mears, indicating 1 lap to go. Now less than 2 miles for Rick Mears. If he holds on, he will become the third four-time winner of the Indianapolis 500 here on the 75th running of the great race. Chris Mears as Rick runs the straightaway. One corner left to go. One corner left to run. You can see the checkered flag just ahead of him now. Turn and now sees the white flag in the Michigan 500. Rick Mears may be on his way to back-to-back 500-mile race wins.
Well, he certainly earned it. He certainly deserves it after that. But here's the guy right there, Arie Luyendyk, who's really put the pressure on and surprised everybody. Look at Chris Mears. Poker face. She's been to a lot of races.
Rick Mears on the backstretch. Arie Luyendyk trying to close. The distance is probably too far. Rick Mears works his way through 3. Here comes Luyendyk as he comes through 3 as well. Now Mears makes the final turn down for the start-finish line, and Rick Mears has won the Michigan 500. His 8th 500-mile race win and the 29th win in his IndyCar career. Rick Mears has picked up a win at the Michigan 500, and we have to leave you rather quickly with Rick Mears, the winner of the race. Arie Luyendyk unofficially in second, Al Unser Jr. in third.